Storyblocks Audio. 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 Storyblocks Audio.
Welcome, everyone, to the Choose to Change program, the 90-day reentry program. If you are a visitor or new to this program, we welcome you and we are glad you are here. Many of us walked into these rooms not sure of what to expect, but many of us stayed because we saw real people with real problems who had real hope. This 90-day reentry program is a self-supporting group sponsored by the Choose to Change Foundation. There are no dues or fees to attend a class, but we do encourage donations from our members and anyone who believes in what we are doing. The only requirement for membership is a sincere desire to change. So if you're ready to change your life, then you're in the right place. Through this program, you will learn the tools and resources to finally change your life forever and a relationship-based support system to keep you going. For many of us, there is no easy way out of the mess we created in our lives, even if it wasn't your fault. But sometimes it was your fault or my fault. But the good news is that there is a way out if you will choose to believe in the impossible. My name is Frank Salazar, and I've been a member of the Choose to Change Foundation going on 10 years in 2015. 9 or 10 years, and it's been a pleasure being here. And I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Orlando and to Isabel for all they've done for us, because if it wasn't for their intervention, I wouldn't be here, and many of us wouldn't be here, would be on the streets or doing something else. And without further ado, we'll be hearing from Orlando Salinas, our CEO, founder, and mentor.
Thank you. Great job, Frank. Here, can you take this? Can you close it, please? Thank you, sir. All right, welcome everybody to our weekly Choose a Change. I gotta call this success class because that's what I'm looking for. No, looking for some success in life. Yes, they just wanted to remind you guys. Okay, what did I want to remind you about? Forgot. My computer turned off. There it is. Technical difficulties. Did anybody ever go through stuff you never want to go through again? Today I was almost in a police raid. It's interesting, and and it reminded me of what we're doing because each and every one of us has gone through things that I don't think you want to go back to. And if you haven't gone through some stuff, maybe you don't want to go find out. Being involved with the law, having parole, probation, restrictions. Who likes all that? Anybody? It's a mess, right? You know, I'm going to be fixing up this house that I went to go see, and I went to go see if there was anybody there. And no one was there. And when I left, I found out the house got raided. I said, oh, no wonder nobody was there. But someone was there. Crackhead. Anybody remember those days? Not good. Anyway, but I was remembering why I do what I do. So thank you for being here. In this class, we're going to be talking about some kind of way to keep moving forward in a way that's beneficial to you, your family, and your future. And if you listen to the reading that Frank just said, he said the only requirement for membership here is a sincere desire to change your life. If you want to change your life, and it's not easy to do, right or wrong. If you want some kind of success in life, if you want to overcome the obstacles that you're facing in life, then you're going to need a few tools. You're going to need to learn a few things. I heard a speaker once say, you're going to have to let go of a few bad habits and start developing some new ones. That's just how it works. We all have ups and downs. We all go through things. But one thing's for sure. You're either going to fight or you're going to give up. One of the two. You're either going to get up or give in. And I'm here to help you get up and keep going. So in this class, we learn, I teach you about what I call the 7 major keys to life change. Let me just give you an overview. The reason I came up with these 7 major keys to life change is because there's a lot to learn about changing your life, about coming out of drug addiction, about re-entering into society after prison, a lot about yourself that you didn't know. And there's a lot about yourself that you need to learn if you're going to change your life. Like one of the biggest things you need to learn is the number one person responsible for your life is who? Who? That's it. That nobody can come save you, man. And the faster you get a hold of that, then the next thing you need to understand is you need to take 100% responsibility for your life. Not your girlfriend, not your wife, not your friends. Because if you don't, somebody will. And I don't think you want that to happen. Right? The judge, the PO. But in any case, so I walked out of prison at 20 years ago, 21 years ago, right? And it was very difficult for me. But I had a sincere desire. That's why it's the first step to change my life. And figured out a few things, overcame a few things, became successful in some areas. And one of the things I wanted to do was teach this stuff. And if you just bear with me and just take what I'm teaching you, I'm telling you that these keys right here are the main ingredients. It's not all you need to learn. Hay más que aprender. But if you start working on these things, your life will start getting better. So today I want to talk about habits, which is, I'm not going to go through the whole process today. I just want you to, I know we have a new person here today, but we need to continue where we're at, which what I want to talk about is habits today. So the first thing I want to talk about is we all understand that there's some bad habits that we need to get rid of, right? I don't have to go through that, right? That it's not rocket science. There's some things that you just need to get rid of. Now, if you want to be successful, if you want to change, if you want to overcome in life, right? There are just some things that you need to get rid of. And some of them are real easy, right? Like drugs and alcohol. That should be a no-brainer. I'm not saying that you wouldn't want to do them and that you wish you could do them. I'm talking about if you want to change your life, you need to get rid of those things. And many times what happens, guys, when people get out of prison, they get put on parole or probation, they know these things, but for some reason they can't keep away. It's called an addiction or a habit you're just used to. I remember saying, I don't want to stop using cocaine. I like cocaine. Who's ever said that? Oh, come on, guys, liars. Right? I mean, I didn't stop using because I didn't like it. Or how many of you stopped using or because you didn't like it? No, that's not why we stop. There's a certain place in life that you finally come to a decision. You're either going to die in prison, die in the streets, or stop. One of the two. That's how it works. Or some say, oh, I'm not that bad. I know people that are 70 years old because they're not that bad. Still using, still living a messed up life, bad health, no home, no family, but they're not that bad. I think that's worse. You know what I mean? When you can handle it, right? I've never been to prison. I've never been to rehab. I still have a job. Who remembers saying that? And they get to 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 years old, but they can still handle it. It's not a good scene, man. But if that's where you want to go, that's up to you. But if you want to change your life, you're going to have to start picking up some new habits. There's some new habits or some better habits. So what I want to talk to you about today is about some habits of successful people, right? And that means that you can be successful in life. That word, I couldn't get it, brother. I couldn't comprehend it when I was in prison, when I was a loser drug addict, when I thought I was just a loser. And I was. But I couldn't success. Success was for those people, right? Those special people. The ones with no tattoos on their face, right? The ones that were educated. You know, those people that you're talking, success is for those people, the special people. I didn't think it was for a vato loco forever like me, right? So then when I started listening to, and this is why I take time to do this, guys, because I want you to know that you can have success, that you can do more than you thought it was possible, that what you have today is not where you have to stay. You can move forward. You can have more. You can become more. And part of that process is learning to develop better, successful habits. Aristotle, who's ever heard of Aristotle? He was what was he? Help me. Philosopher. And what he learned and what he taught us, and now we can prove it, is that 95% of everything we do in life is a result of habits. Did you all know that? That your habits rule your life? That's why when you say, "Man, why did I do that?" Remember, and you say, "Yeah, I did it again." Why? Because your habits are ruling. I keep on messing up. Why? Because your habits are ruling. I can't seem to stop. Why? Because your habits are ruling. So 90, because that's and I teach all of that when I talk about the mindset and how the mind works. But just know that we are creatures of habit. Who's ever heard that before? We're creatures of habit. And our habits is what run our life. So if that's true, then we need to develop some new habits that can take us, you know, our old habits took us to prison, to drug addiction, to rehabs, right? To but so then we have to develop new habits. So I want to give you three things to think about or to know facts about habits. So you can keep this in mind as I give you these ideas and these habits that I were going to recommend you. Number one, habits if you form good habits and make them your master rather than allowing bad habits to form and becoming your master. You need to form good habits and let those habits become your master, as opposed to forming bad habits and they become your master. You need to understand that. And this is more powerful than you might be able to comprehend. But this is what I meant by your habits are what's running your life. Listen to the second fact. Good habits are hard to form. Good habits are hard to form, but they're easy to live with. Good habits are hard to form, but they're easy to live with. What does that mean, brother? Let me tell you what it means. It means you coming to church, you coming to prayer, you coming to choose a change, you're doing the right thing, right? Even though you want to run, even though you want to quit, even though you want to give up, even though you want to curse God sometimes because of things don't go wrong right the way you thought they should. But doing the right thing is not going to take you to prison. It's not going to take you to the grave, or at least, too soon. It's going to build better relationships with your family, with your friends. You're going to become a better person. In other words, good habits are easy to live with. You go home and you get to rest. But listen to the second part of this fact. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. Do you all get that? Do you understand that? It's easy to pick up a joint, pase, cigarettes, pornography. That's easy, right? Easy. And you form that habit like this. But man, to live with them, the consequences of living with those habits for someone today resulted in a raid. Bad habits result in being arrested, rehab, prison, bad relationships, divorce. So let me read that again so you see if you get it. Good habits are hard to form. Yes, staying here, listening to me, coming to choose a change all the time. It's a good habit. But man, it's hard to form. That's why I give you a 90-day challenge. But it's easy to live with, man. You get to learn something. You get to go home and sleep in your bed. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. Now, the third fact about habits, here you go, is that all habits are learned and can be unlearned. In other words, they can be changed. Whoever said this, man, that's just the way I am. Who's ever said that? That's just the way I am. Yeah, and that's true. That is the way you are. But if you're a loser drug addict, is that the way you want to stay? I can get away with saying that stuff here because I know what a loser drug addict is. Someone came in here once and told me, well, I'm not a loser. I didn't call you a loser. No, I'm not calling anybody a loser here, by the way. Okay. I'm just saying if the shoe fits, when I go to the parole office or to rehab centers, I'm talking to 30, 40, 50 men and women. And I tell them, can we just talk? Can we be honest? Who's willing to be honest with me today? And they're like, okay, what? I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not calling you a loser, but listen to my question. If you know in your heart that you were a loser when you were out there, lying to your family, lying to your girlfriend, lying to your wife, lying to the parole officer, if you know you were just a loser out there, raise your hand. And guess what? More than half of them raise their hand. Why? Because they know. That's what I'm talking about. Because once you come once you accept that, right, then we can move forward. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I remember all I wanted to be is not a loser anymore. That's it. That was my motivation, brother. Till this day. All I knew is that I didn't want to be that monster that I saw in the mirror. That's all I knew. How do I get out of there? And that's why I do what I do today. Because I know there's a lot of us like that. So all habits are learned. I had to unlearn my habits. Prison helped. For me, at least. So what that means, if they can be learned, they can be unlearned. You don't actually change bad habits. Did you know that? What we do is we replace them with good habits. That's how the mind works. You don't just get rid of one habit. You have to replace it with something else. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And it makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, you'd just be at home like wondering what to do. No, you replace it with work, brother. That's huge. And that's a good start. As you learn to balance your life, as your life starts getting better, and it will, Raymond. It will. I know it will. So you're not, and I see you always tired, but you're on the right road, man. This is what it takes. This is what it takes if you want to change your life, right? Because if you don't want to change your life, then you would have quit and gone back to wherever you were, right? So this is why we're here. This is why we come to church. And I know I repeat myself a lot, guys, but I think I just talking to you like I needed to be talked to. Just talk to me, man. Just talk to me. Tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. I don't need sugarcoating. I need truth. That's what I need. So you don't actually change a bad habit. You actually replace the bad habit with a good habit. And it's more powerful. That's more powerful and helping you reach your goals. So let's talk about these. How do you replace a bad habit? Well, how do we develop the bad habits we have? Let me tell you how. By repetition. By doing it over and over and over and over and over. That's how we build habits. And there's so much more. I'm just giving you the basics of habits. There's a lot to learn about habits. But just understand that habits are you because you do it over and over and over. And in the mind, it's just that's how it works. So how do you replace it? Anybody want to give it a shot? How do you replace the bad habit? Huh? You force a good habit. And that's why it's so hard to change. ¿Cuándo venías a la iglesia, brother? ¿Cuándo venías a choose the change? When do Nunca? So you come, you church, and you start coming trying to change your life, and then come home for the fellowship. You didn't even know what fellowship was. Y que vamos para acá, it's totally different environment, totally different mindset. We don't even think that way. Fellowship, ¿qué es eso? I remember going to a party and somebody telling me they didn't drink or do coke, and I'm like, what? What do you mean? That's what we came here for. Right. I mean, it's and now we go to church and we fellowship, we laugh and we have a good time. It doesn't compute. So you have to just get used to it. And that's how you change a bad habit into a good habit. So some people say, well, I just don't like that. Well, no, you're not going to like it. If you liked it, it's probably bad for you. So you start doing something good, you force yourself. That's why when I tell people, when I wanted to change my life, I didn't believe I could change my life. My mind would not allow me to believe that. Because my mind told me, you're a loser, you'll always be a loser, and you're never going to change. That's what my mind told me. But when I learned about the Bible and about faith and about believing for something that you don't see, I literally forced myself to start believing something different. Yes, I can. So I started doing like what's that little train that could? Yeah, there you go. That's what came to my mind. Oh, by the way, take some pictures, guys. And I remember being in prison and thinking about that. I know I can. I know I can. I know I can. And it was a powerful thought, No, you can't. No, you can't. No, yes, I can. Yes, I can. That's called faith, man. I can do this. I can change. I can be a better man. I can be a father. I can be a husband. I can be a leader. And it just happened. But cuando menos acordé, brother, yeah. Wow, I'm a leader. I'm a father. Wow, I'm respected. Wow, I have a successful business. I know it's hard to believe, but it took me years to actually embrace it. Because all I could see, brother, was that loser. That's why we relate. Because I know what I'm talking about. The theory is that you do something for 21 days, right? And it becomes a habit, right? That's the theory. Some people say 30 days, some people say 90 days, some people say 6 months, depending on the science or the whatever you're reading. But the idea is that it needs to be repeated. That's how I started exercising. I started doing something simple, but I started doing it every day. And before you know it, now I need to go walk. I need to go do a little bit because my body me lo pide. I developed a habit. And what was the habit before? Nomás comer todo lo que puedo y dormir. No. Almost everything you do, from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to bed, it's habitual. It's habitual. So what you want to start thinking about is what would be the best habits to start developing that could create a better life for yourself. You got to start thinking of what are some good habits, which we already started. Come to church, prayer, reading your Bible, texting in the morning, good morning, right? It helps. How many of you guys that helps? That helps? Craig, you didn't know we have a texting group? We still have it. Do you want to be in it? We'll put you in it. You haven't been to prison, but we'll make an exception for you. Thank you for bringing me into your fold. Amen. That's right. You weren't in prison yet. So I have a few ideas for you. And remember, what I'm teaching you guys, you're not going to just learn this just anywhere. What I just taught you just now, it took me years to understand. And maybe some of this stuff is going to go over your head, maybe some of it, but I know you're going to catch some of it. I read a book called The Millionaire Habits, The $1 Million Habits. A book called $1 Million Habits by Brian Tracy. And I read that book, and he pointed out just a few habits of millionaires, of successful people. And I actually have millionaire habits. I'm just still waiting for the money. But you have to have these kind of habits in your life so that you can start developing. Basically, when you start these habits, brother, what you're doing is you're creating a path to success. Does that make sense or no? Because what happens when you go to the same path over and over? It makes a trail, right? Okay, that's how the mind works. We literally, when we do something all the time, this is why it's so hard to stop smoking and doing drugs. Because when you do it so many times, the mind records it. And it's just like a pathway. I don't know the scientific name for it, but just trust me. You can look it up in Google and for yourself. It's a pathway. Anybody can help me? What's it called? I'm looking at Daniel like, do you remember? I forget that pathway. But it's literally, supposedly when they look at the brain, they can see the pathway of habits. Huh? No, there's a name for it. Anyway, the mind is neuroplastic. It's the mind. That's true. But what I'm saying is that's the reason why things are so hard to do is because your mind is already trained to do and feel and do something. So then what you have to do is start doing something different so you can do another trail and start creating these new habits. But anyway, the idea is that what kind of habits would be good? And all these I'm doing just to this day. So I'm going to give you a few. Does anybody have any questions here? Anybody have any questions or concerns or doubts? Unique counsel. Going crazy. So let me give you just a few habits to go with. So the first habit, he says, remember, there's a lot of different habits. This habits to help you succeed in life. All right? So the first one, he says, is learn goal-setting habits. I go through goal-setting teachings in here. That's why I mention it, because the first time I heard about goal-setting, it went over my head, man. What's that? Well, how do you do that? Well, goal-setting, you must develop this habit of being goal-orientated. What that means is that, what does this mean? Well, let me read this. Not only must you start writing goals down, you must think about your goals on a daily basis. Prioritize what's important on a day-to-day basis. I look at my goals every day today. I have a notebook. It's a calendar. Because I live my life on a calendar. I set appointments for this week and next week because I have a business, so I'm always talking to people. Things I need to do. In the back of that calendar, I have goals. And the way I've developed my goals is in quarterly. Quarterly, meaning January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And I have a line like this across. And I write down goals that I want to accomplish in these next 3 months. And I look at them every day. That's how you do goals. ¿Sí me explico o no? And there's more to it, but this is how you do it. This is the idea. He says, these are a couple of things that you can do is keep a journal because you're writing things, right? He said, but you must be thinking about your goals when you go to sleep, when you wake up. Now, you just always have to be thinking about it. Now, listen to what this guy says here. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, that's kind of crazy. That sounds fanatical. Thinking about my goals all the time. So here's what he says. Well, let me tell you this. Ask you this. What are you thinking about every day? Think about that. What goes through your mind every day? Why are you so fanatical about that? Think about that for a minute. And here's what he says. He says, "Tell me what do you think about when you're laying down at bed trying to go to sleep? Your problems? What's going on in your favorite show on TV? What's on Facebook? What's on Instagram? Or maybe you're just fantasizing somewhere in your own virtual reality, right? Because nowadays, this thing is just taking you to a whole new level, to a whole new world, right? And it's you don't take control of your own mind. Somebody already did. That's why people have followers. I'm following this and I'm following that. So that brings me to my second point. Since you're already thinking about something every day, why not change that habit of thinking about something every day, which you already have, we all do, and replace it with a good productive habit? In other words, change what you're thinking about. Thinking about your goals at night instead of your troubles and your problems and your I know we all want to be entertained, right? But that's our problem. You need to be thinking about what you want to do. And that's how my mind works. I'm always thinking about tomorrow, about what I'm going to say. I'm thinking about what I'm going to teach and choose a change. I'm thinking about what's going to happen at this job site and that job site, about what's happening at the parole office. And I'm always thinking. That's how I develop a successful life. Remember, good habits are hard to form, easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to form, but hard to live with. So let me give you, we're just going to go over three of them. So you need to be goal orientated. In other words, thinking about you have goals, right? You have to be thinking about them. And cuando estás pasando las tragedias, you have to think about your goal. You see what I'm saying? Because otherwise you'll get sidetracked. We have to stay focused. And you know what? Let me just say this, guys. When I started learning this stuff, I remember telling people, I wanted somebody to tell me how to change my life. So I'd go to sermons. I was in prison. I'd read books. I'd talk to people. I'd listen to shows. Anything that had to do with changing your life and success. And what I found out, Chavaria, is it started getting very complicated. Kind of like what some of you might be thinking now. Like, man, there's a lot of stuff, man. And I started realizing, because I want it like this, like, just tell me how to get there. Dame unos steps, right? Tell me what to do. 1, 2, 3. A formula. Give me a formula. That's what I think my mind was looking for. But I started learning, no, but you have to start habits and goals, and you have to have a desire, your faith, your mindset, and it just go more. And I say, man, they never told me how to do it. Well, this is it. I found out that there's some work involved that has to do with thinking. You have to take control of your life. And it takes some mind, some thinking. Here's a second. What was the first one? The first one was goal orientated. The other one is results orientated. In other words, start learning to have the habit of thinking, instead of making an excuse. Today I was talking, you try to think of a solution, because we're wired to make excuses. Did y'all know that? As soon as you can't do something, you're going to make an excuse. It might be a good excuse, and might even be true, but it's still an excuse. So, es que a guy, I have one of my guys that works for me. He needs to get a driver's license. He needs to get a driver's license. So I told him it just expired. He just needs to go renew it. And that's been over a month ago. And he can't catch a check without his driver's license. So I have to make a check for him without a name, and however he does it. So I said, did you go do your driver's license? No, I didn't. But it was closed on Monday. That was the first thing that came out of his mouth. It was closed on Monday. And it was. And I stopped him and I said, listen, because I really want to help him. Listen, he's young, he's 22 years old. I said, listen, son, let me give you some personal growth training here. I say, you need to learn not to make an excuse, because an excuse is the first thing that wants to come out of your mouth, because he always does that. Always. I said, if you want to be better at what you're doing, you want to be successful, and he does, because I know he does. He says, you need to stop making excuses. You have to start train your mind, which is what we're talking about here. Become result orientated. Train your mind to start thinking. In other words, as soon as you say, but I can't because, you have to start saying, no, wait a minute. What do I need to do to make this happen? You have to start thinking differently. Does that make sense or no? You have to say, instead of saying, or accepting your fault, say, I messed up, I should have gone. Then you say, okay, how can I make this happen? You start thinking differently about your problems, about your situations, about your parole office, about your probation office. You got to start thinking differently. How can I make this better? That's how result-oriented goals are. This is always thinking about the most important thing that must be done right now. Let me give you one last one. Remember, we're talking about habits for success, for moving forward in life. And this is very simple. There's a lot to learn. The last one I'll give you is become people-oriented. A lot of people don't like to talk to people. I remember being that way. Just leave me alone. Just sit back, listen, right? I want to be cool. I remember being like that. I didn't want to talk to people. And a lot of people are like that. You need to learn to communicate. Because listen to what he says about this one. You must keep in mind that, and we'll close with this, that everything that you will achieve or accomplish in life will be with the help and encouragement of other people. That's how it works, bro. Si te metes a la concha, if you just like, poor me, I don't know nothing, nobody loves me, you're going to stay there. And you're always going to feel like that. You have to learn to open up, talk to people. He said, so always think, what do other people want and need from me? Start thinking how you can help people. You do that, excellent. That's what has brought you so far, Ramon, because you're always thinking, how can I help? That's an excellent habit, right? And the next, let me give you some advice on that. And when people don't want help or take advantage of your help, you don't worry about it. You have someone else watching you. And that's how I've been able to build what I have, guys, in my life. I've always did what I could for other people. I'm still doing it here. And I've seen hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds go through this class in the last 10 years. You know, very few make it. Very few. But I got to keep on doing it because there's another Ramon coming. There's another Craig coming. There's another Frank and Chavarria coming. More of you guys are coming. And you're going to, sooner or later, you're going to snap and you're going to realize, hey, man, this guy's teaching me some good stuff. I didn't just, this is real life, personal growth, successful stuff. It's biblical too. Thinking about what you can do to help others. What would be the scripture to that? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or another that says, it's more blessed to give than to receive. We have to always be thinking, be people oriented. Talking to people. Anybody have anything to say here? I'm going to pass around the donation bucket. We always pass around a donation bucket. Oye, traje dinero o no? And this is just, we are a self-supporting group. I brought a couple dollars here. If you don't have any money and you don't have to support us, you don't have to give. That's not a problem. But I'll be going to prison May 1st, May 1st, May 4th, and May 25th. 3 events I'm going because I take what I teach in here into the prison. The event on the May 25th is going to cost approximately $2,500 to do. Going to cost me about $2,500 to do. Let me tell you why. Because I have to, no, this one is probably going to cost a little less than that. Because I'll be able to go and come. This one's going to probably cost like $1,800. Let me tell you why. Because I go in there into the prison and I'm going to do a 6-hour seminar based on everything I teach here. I'm going to teach them everything in 6 hours that I teach in here. And then I'm going to feed them pizza. And I don't know if you've ever been in prison. We have free pizza. That's huge. Pizza, soda, and a dessert. And then I'm going to give them a book. My book. That's going to be 30 men. And so in any case, that's what I'm doing. That's why we raise money. That's why, because this is a perfect example here. Because we're thinking of what can we do for others. So the little bit of change that you guys help out with, that's what it's going for. I don't make money doing this. It's going to help others. This is what our ministry is all about. Helping men like you and me. It's simple as that. Making sense or no? Awesome. I'm going to give you one last one. And that's, I had 7, but I only gave you 3. I'll give you one last one, which was the last one, is self-discipline. You need to really, really think about that. Because self-discipline, you have to discipline your own life. Because if you don't discipline your life, you're not going to go too far. That's just how it is. And it's also biblical. Did you know self-discipline is biblical? Does anybody know where it's at? Galatians 5. It's part of the fruits of the Spirit. It says like this, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Discipline. And I'm going to give you the definition of discipline. And I remember reading this. And I said, man, I needed to know that. because I didn't understand it quite. I knew what it meant, but I liked the way this was presented to me. It's like this. Discipline is the ability to force yourself to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you like it or not. Let me repeat that. Discipline is the ability to force yourself to do what you know you should do, when you should do it, even when you don't feel like it. And I said, wow, that is a perfect definition. Marriage, at your job, in a business, in the church, as a preacher, it doesn't matter. Good habits are essential. And I would encourage you to think about the ones that we talked about today. So, does anybody have anything to say here? So, we'll close it up. Next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a conference here in the church, which is the third week of this month. So I have a couple of guys coming that are no longer in the class, that came through here 8 years ago, that are being very successful today. And I have 2 of them going to do the Choose the Change class the week before, which is, I think, in 2 weeks, and the week after our conference. Both of these men were in prison. Both of them were very young when they were in prison. Both of them got married in this church. Both of them are very successful today. But they started here and Choose to Change. And I want them to share their stories with you. And I think it'll really help you. So keep that in mind. That'll be in 2 weeks. And then, and other than that, that's all we have for today. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. Thank you for watching.